Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our discussion about AELA's Earth Arts program and the kinship theme that we've selected for this year. We're really delighted to have you all join us, and I really want to honour our fantastic AELA Earth Arts volunteer coordinators, Dawn Mills and Liesje Barratt, and our other guest speaker today, Aviva Reed. Before we kick off today, I just want to let you know that we'll be showing a very short video that I made the other day. It's very informal, but it gives an overview of the kinship theme and the history of the Earth Arts program. So we might start with that. I've never actually had to introduce myself before, but Sarah, if you could play that recording for us now, that would be terrific. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today in our wonderful discussion about the Earth Arts program and the Earth Arts Collective in general. My name is Michelle Maloney. I'm the co-founder and national convener of the Australian Earth Laws Alliance, or AELA, as we like to call her. And I'd like to acknowledge that I live, work and play on the beautiful lands of the Cubby peoples. I want to acknowledge that land was never ceded and honour and respect the first peoples of this continent and the way that they have cared for country and cared for each other since time immemorial. It's often a tradition in our Zoom yarns. If you want to pop in the chat whose country you're on or where you are, it's nice for everyone to be able to read that and say hello. So all I'm going to do is probably a 5-minute overview of AELA, the Earth Arts program, and what we hope to get up to in the kinship theme of this year. So first of all, I've got the Earth Arts website open, and if you're not familiar with it, the URL is up here, eartharts.org.au. I won't go into too much detail, but you can find out about the Australian Earth Laws Alliance under the About section. AELA is a not-for-profit organisation set up by a group of us back in 2011, 2012. We've been run by volunteers right up until the last couple of years when we were lucky enough to get a bit of funding for myself and Sarah Bashforth, who's on this call, and she'll introduce herself later. AELA's mission in life is to be a voice for finding ways to build an ecocentric society. We're called Earth Laws because at the end of the day, First Laws, Indigenous laws and Earth Laws are all about making sure human beings fit within and listen to Mother Nature and build human societies that are caring and successful by being able to live within our ecological boundaries and honour all of the living world around us. So AELA started with a few lawyer types like myself interested, and it's grown into a really lovely, small, humble, but lovely multicultural and multidisciplinary space. Our arts program popped up in the very early days. We were approached by a lot of artists in 2012, 2013, and we did our first sort of semi-formal event with artists in Sydney in 2014. And the history of the Earth Arts work is somewhere on this website if you want to have a poke around one day. For us, creativity is absolutely critical to being a human being, and it's certainly critical to shaping the kind of society we'd like to have. And also, it's fun. In the days of strange chaos globally and an uncertain future due to climate change, connecting, playing, being creative, exploring different ways of expressing ourselves and honouring nature and lots of other things are wonderful. So on this website, you will see a little bit about the background of all those bits and pieces. You'll see information about this, the Earth Arts Collective, which has been around for many years now, and it's a loose, informal gathering of folks who are interested in not just nature or environmental issues, but that's really important, but also actually interested in the mission of AELA, which is thinking about systems change and governance, which connects the arts and creativity into other fields of human endeavour like law, economics, education, ethics, and many other exciting things. So we will talk more about the Earth Arts Collective shortly. And if you want to go and look at some of the online galleries and images from back in the day pre-COVID, when we only did national or online in-person things, galleries and catalogues has a beautiful collection of amazing artworks and creativity. We've also, in the past, had a couple of beautiful creative writing collections. It's had a lull because we haven't had the human beings to help lead that, but this year we're going to be kicking that off again too, and so on and so forth. Lots of lovely things to look at. And then finally, we dreamt up the kinship theme as a lovely, generic, but really beautiful word to inspire people really this year, if they have the time, the ability, or can connect to existing work that we're doing, just to celebrate our interconnectedness with nature. In the past, some of our arts programs have been more tightly woven around other themes like rights of nature or other sort of legalish themes, voices for nature. But this year we just wanted to open it up to a broad topic. And the only other thing I'll say is, so this is the main landing page for Kinship. You can see the URL there. We're inviting folks to do a range of things, including learn about the Earth Arts Collective and send us an email if you want to become part of that. But also 5 or so different ways to join in with Kinship this year. The virtual gallery, which is a way to showcase your own art or photographs of whatever it is you get up to. The Nature Writing Scholarship, which I hope to have some guidelines out for next week. Our anthology for creative writing, poetry, photography, artwork, which we call Earthwords and Artlings. The webinar series, which we're open to have folks who'd like to join us or would like to suggest other speakers. And then our humble offering of inviting folks to do real things in the real world, as well as online in the real world, in the middle of November, 16th to the 20th.
Thanks everyone for your patience as we show a video of a brief overview of our beautiful website, and a huge thank you to James Lee, who helped us create it back in the day and continues to help us with updates. As you will have seen, there's about 5 different ways that we're inviting people to share with us or contribute or be part of Kinship. But if you have your own ideas or your own practice that you'd like to explore, get in touch. Really, at the end of the day, what AELA is trying to do is offer a small space for people who are already engaged in or would love to do some of their own initial explorations in eco-arts oriented work and play. And so now what I'm really thrilled to do is introduce both Dawn Mills and Liesje Barratt, who are the wonderful volunteer coordinators of Earth Arts and who have helped us, I guess, catalyse bringing Earth Arts back to life this year. And hopefully that will stimulate further activities for next year too. So I will jump off in a minute, and I think Dawn is going to be doing some introductory remarks and talk about Kinship and her own artworks, and Liesje will too. And then I'll come back to introduce Aviva Reed. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dawn.
Okay. Can everyone hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm Dawn, and I'd just like to start by acknowledging and paying my respects to the traditional owners and elders, past and present, of the Darug and Gundungurra peoples on whose lands I live and work here in the beautiful Blue Mountains in New South Wales. Just a bit of background about me. 2 years ago, I retired from a long career as an occupational therapist, mainly working with people with catastrophic injuries from car accidents. Since my retirement, it's been nice to have time to devote to more creative pursuits. I've completed a diploma in visual arts at TAFE and continue with an art practice often out in nature. My real love is photography and printmaking, and I'm try and use my photos to base artworks on. And also having time to devote to environmental issues, and especially the Australian Earth Laws Alliance. So it was important to me to have a meaning behind my artwork rather than just make things that are nice to look at. And AELA's given me a way to do that. So I really appreciate it. It's been nice to become a volunteer along with Liesje. So I just wanted to talk about nature and creativity for a minute. So nature is creativity. In itself, it's a work of art. And we humans, as part of nature, are innately creative. Every one of us has the potential to be an artist, and art plays a vital role in awakening our emotional connection to the natural world, stimulating a sense of awe and kinship, and moving us to invest in actions to protect and advocate for our planet. By creating, we are connecting with the earth, participating in an ancient and ongoing process, as the earth is in a constant state of creating, turning one thing into another. So my art is based on my belief that our true nature as humans can't be separated from Mother Nature. And I've always had a passion for the natural world. Since I was young, I've engaged in many environmental causes, and more recently understood the power of art and creativity in activism, aimed at advocating for our natural world and influencing others to connect and feel a greater sense of kinship with nature. Last month, I took part in a residency through the Bob Brown Foundation down in the Tarkine Rainforest in northwestern Tasmania, which was very challenging weather-wise, very cold and wet and muddy, but it was wonderful to be there immersed in the forest, in the complexity and beauty of the forest down there with 100 other artists. And from that, I took photos and have created some prints, which I'm hoping will go into an exhibition in Hobart, which is also part of the Bob Brown Foundation. It's in June. If anyone's interested to go, it's on the Bob Brown Foundation website. And it's also at the time Dark Mofos on in Hobart, which is also a really interesting event. So it's been great. And it's sort of created more of a feeling of optimism for me to connect my art practice more with environmental activism. And I'm really grateful to AELA for that too. Sarah, I was just wondering if we could just show a few quick photos of mine. So that's one I'm working on. The photos were taken in the Tarkine Rainforest last month, and I've created prints from those as well, but I'm just trying to make it into a bit of a mixed media thing. Okay, next one. That's a print, a solar plate etching print I did based on a photo I took in Tasmania on the Overland Track a couple of years ago. It's just showing the complexity of the forest down there. Next one. That's a photo in the Blue Mountains. I do a lot of bushwalking, and that's in the Grand Canyon walk at Blackheath, if anyone's done that. I just noticed the amazing reflections that day. Thank you. Next one. Also Blue Mountains. That was from a few years ago, also in Blackheath. Thanks, Sarah. And that's not in Blackheath, unfortunately. That's that's a photo taken off waves off Margaret River in WA, taken a few years ago. So that's all, I think. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. So I just wanted to talk about getting involved with AELA and as a volunteer in the Earth Arts program. As I said earlier, I think for me, it's important to have a meaning or a wider context for my art rather than just making art because it's fun. Though that's great too. So the Earth Arts program allows people from a range of creative backgrounds to meet up, share their experiences, show their work, discuss, plan, celebrate. It's so important for people to know they aren't alone these days in their fears for the planet, which we all have, I think. So by participating in this program, creative people may feel they have a special place to be held, a way to express their love and concern for the earth, to celebrate their kinship with other creatives and the wider world. I read an article on the weekend in Saturday's Sydney Morning Herald by Natalie Kyriakou entitled, "Can Humanity Survive? Ask a Penguin." So I'll just read a couple of snippets from that. She says, "Humans unfortunately have a history of abusing each other and the planet. So perhaps it's time we stopped looking exclusively to ourselves for guidance and took these lessons on fixing the world from things that aren't human. For example, penguins. In winter, emperor penguins form a huddle and then constantly rotate, so no one freezes on the edge. Forests survive because no single tree monopolizes resources indefinitely. When one species becomes too dominant, ecosystems are prone to disease. And lastly, elephants. In this matriarchal society, an experienced female leads the herd with wisdom and empathy. Elephants care collectively for calves, the injured, and the elderly." And she continues that too many of us have lost ourselves, our courage, our empathy, our connection to nature, to community, to reality. We have forgotten something simple. This world is shared. No species survives alone. We are not spectators to this world. We are participants. We need to be more like penguins. We leave no one in the cold. We need to be more like forests. We keep power in check. And we need to be more like elephants, guided by empathy. So I just like to finish with a quote from John O'Donoghue from his book To Bless the Space Between Us. He writes, "The spirit of a time is an incredibly subtle yet hugely powerful force, and it is comprised of the mentality and spirit of all individuals together. Therefore, the way you look at things is not simply a private matter. Your outlook actually and concretely affects what goes on. When you give in to helplessness, you collude with despair and add to it. When you take back your power and choose to see the possibilities for healing and transformation, your creativity awakens and flows to become an active force of renewal and encouragement in the world. In this way, even in our own hidden lives, we can become a powerful agent of transformation in a broken, darkened world. There is a huge force field that opens when intention focuses and directs itself towards transformation." So yeah, if people would love to look at the websites and see where they can get involved, that would be wonderful. We're planning to have regular Zoom catch-ups over the next few months. Liesje and I will be putting out another newsletter in June, and there's lots of other activities. So welcome, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dawn. That was wonderful. And thank you for sharing that article and those quotes and your beautiful artworks too. So, Liesje, over to you to share your thoughts with us now. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Dawny, for all of that inspiration. And you reminded me about the Emperor penguins, who I love. So thanks for that. I've just got a PowerPoint that I'm going to share with you. And apologies, I've got a bit of a cold. So if I sound a bit nasally, that's where I'm at. But I'm also going to start with acknowledging the place that I'm in right now, which is just down the road from Dawn in the beautiful Blue Mountains, lands of the Darug and Gundungurra people. And just to say that we actually live in the World Heritage National Park, so it's a pretty special place. And I've been lucky enough to live here all of my life, pretty much, and actually live back in the street that I lived in as a child. And my daughter and my 4-year-old grandson also live in the street. So I have this really strong connection to place, and I think that's really helped me in the idea of kinship, because I feel like kinship, having this strong connection to place, I see my kin as not just the people in my area and obviously my family, but so much more of the more than human world. So I've known about AELA for a few years and been involved in lots of their webinars and all the great work they do. And one area that I really love that AELA is involved in is their bioregional governance and that kind of thinking too, about if we live more within our bioregion, how that can help to create these earth-centered societies. And I think that bioregional thinking again is really linked to the idea of kin, because when you really get to know a place, then you really love it and you want to care for it. And I just think that that's kind of what's missing for a lot of our actions. We have a lot of the scientific knowledge, but we need the heart to go with it. So I'm not actually an artist, or don't have a particular creative practice. I have my friend Dawn for that, because I'm a recipient of much of her beautiful artwork. But we have done many other creative things together, such as dance, and I think all of those kind of embodied practices are really important as well. And things like books and film and just storytelling is an important part of creative practice that connects us to the natural world and the idea of kin. So I kind of feel like, for me, creative practice can also be really simple things, because it is part of our human existence. Like Dawn said, it's just really what makes us human. So I like to think about things like preparing good, nourishing food which you may have picked a few things from the garden. That to me is sort of all a creative practice. And that when we nurture our gardens and we're growing things, food for ourselves or for the pollinators, for the bees. I know Michelle loves her blue-banded bees, the birds. So I kind of like to think of all of those simple things, and even just being in a place that's a beautiful place. It might just be at the end of our street, which I'll come to in a minute with this slide showing you Glenbrook Lagoon, which is at the end of my street. But being in all of those beautiful places, I think, can be thought of as sort of nurturing our creativity. So I'm just going to take you on a little ramble from where I live in Kedron Street to the end and to this beautiful Glenbrook Lagoon, which is a natural water source at the end of my street. It's home to many species of wildlife and beautiful trees. And you can see it's surrounded by suburbia, but there's a walking track around it, and I would walk that every day. And again, I kind of think of that as an arts practice almost, because when I walk it every day, it just helps me to know all of the all of the things. And I have trees. We have a old man grumpy tree, and we have a turtle rock, and these are areas I visit with. I did it with my children. I now do it with my grandson, but they are like kin to me. Some of these, you could think of them as inanimate objects, but to me, they're very much alive. So yeah, walking the track around the lagoon is just really important. And there's just a photo, not as flashy as Dawn's beautiful photos, but one that has, from the lagoon, beautiful reflection. And part of some of the things that I've done, I also think, all of the work of AELA and what we're hoping to do with the Earth Arts Collective, I suppose is more for adults, but I feel like it's really important to nurture young ones and their creativity. They're going to be our future leaders, and just to kind of give them some joy and wonder of being in the natural world and to use their imaginations when they're out in nature is something that I love to do. So I've had a couple of events at the lagoon where I've just invited neighbours and friends to come with their little people, and we've had some storytelling, some like a bushwalk, we'll have some citizen science and do some little creative arts thing. So on a very simple level, this is my part of my arts practice too. And I'm just going to share a few images here from the kids doing a few bits and pieces. We had a day on turtles and we made turtle rocks and they decorated their rocks. And we had another occasion where we were looking for bugs and birds. Their nets that they were meant to use for bugs turned into fishing nets, but that's okay. That's what kids do. And they made little creatures out of clay. Yeah, and as I said, it's about sort of nurturing what this quote talks about, our sixth sense, and that's our sense of wonder. So apart from having children, touch and smell and look for and use all those senses, it really is about nurturing our sense of wonder. So, as Dawn said, we would love you to get involved in our Earth Arts week or year, really, because we're going to be having ongoing conversations and opportunities for people to meet and to connect. I do think it's something really important in these times of sort of disruption and chaos to be able to be grounded together in something that's really beautiful and meaningful is important for us all. Yeah, so we would love for you to join us. And Dawn and I are hoping that we'll have a physical event in person in the Blue Mountains somewhere in our Earth Arts Week. We don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but if you're local to us, reach out and we'd love to invite you along. So that's it from me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Liesje. And so Dawn and Liesje, again, thank you so much for stepping up and being excited about volunteering your time and love to help us coordinate our Earth Arts program this year. Hooray! I'd now like to introduce Aviva Reed, who when I very first met Aviva, I'd already seen her art, and I actually had a rare fangirl moment. I don't have a lot of them, but I am a huge fan of Aviva's work, And I actually have prints of hers up my staircase, and they look glorious. And so I'm delighted to have Aviva join us today, both as someone who's been a supporter of AELA, someone who inspires our work, but also someone who's been involved in Earth Arts programs in the past. So we invited Aviva to just come along and share some of her own thoughts. And then, and I should have said this, we'll open up for Q&A or just a chat. And if folks are shy and you just want to write your questions in the chat, that's good too. But for now, over to you, Aviva, to share your thoughts with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Hello, everyone. I'm coming from the freshwater, saltwater swamp country of the Yagle country. I have been involved with AELA for probably over a decade now. So one of the powers of AELA isn't just celebrating the world, it's actually offering a really active critique of the Western paradigm that dominates our world. And so as artists and creatives, I think it's our responsibility to really be really vigilant with the language we use and shift it away from the sort of Western paradigms that have commodified nature and the world we live in. And so the arts offers us this phenomenal opportunity to sit with both awe and wonder, but also to find kind of new language, but it's not new language, it's ancient language. Obviously, Indigenous peoples and earth honouring peoples have been using kinship language as an ontological perspective for millennia. But unfortunately, through AELA, well, not unfortunately, AELA offers a heap of resources to truly, really sort of, for lack of a better word, decolonize that perspective. And us as creatives and as people who are part of society and offering outward-looking material, we have a powerful responsibility and opportunity to really share and really reshift the language that's used. So this image here is actually, I did an artist in residence, what was this, 2006, 10, something quite a long time ago. It was an actual genius intervention that AELA did at Bayo Court in Brisbane. Anyway, proper court, and it was a tribunal. So it was sort of, it was like Michelle would do this better, but I sat and listened to for 2 days of sort of the forest versus the state and sort of like looking at how we can use language to truly invert this very destructive paradigm that we've all found ourselves in. So that's what AELA offers as well. So getting amongst those resources and really learning how to incorporate them into creatives' works is very exciting and has definitely informed my practice. So I'm going to quickly share really quickly a video. So I've ended up just completing a body of work on looking at carbon as an animate force. And I've really tried to use that language of earth laws and kinship to look at chemistry. So I see my responsibility as someone who's been trained in the Western sciences to sort of subvert those problematic narratives that are dominating our current paradigm. So one of them is the commodification of carbon when we live in a world that's kind of an animate world. So I just explored these are actually inspired by the Takanya down in Lutruwita as well. And just looking at deep time perspectives and as a creative, shifting some of the Western epistemologies and ontologies that have, as in Natalie's talk, she says, we're now disconnected from nature. The question is, why are we disconnected from nature? What paradigms and what things are actually perpetuating that disconnection? And so even looking at things like abiotic and biotic, which is living and non-living categories that we are currently infused deeply into all of our science education and all of our ecological thinking within the Western paradigm, it's highly problematic categories. So these categorizations that actually still dominate language, are enabling this constant extractive military industrial complexes that are actually sort of destroying the current world. So this was a bit of a thought experiment thinking about carbon. So this is sort of carbon burning, carbon as a verb, not as a noun. This is like about creatures seeking asylum through wildfires. This is actually looking at carbon in exile. Carbon is now in diaspora. It is actually no longer able to come home because those homes have been killed. This is looking at the using science as an excellent tool that it can be to kind of recognize that what we're seeing here is a huge phytoplankton bloom as a result of the fire. So that's actually carbon in a science language being drawn down, or in a more animate language, that's carbon finding a new home. So we can kind of use our creative thinking in order to really subvert the current paradigms that are problematic and building ongoing disconnection. So this is actually carbon photosynthesizing. So that's actually carbon coming in embodiment. This is like thinking about what does photosynthesis feel like, look like. This is the ocean air exchange. This is looking at marine snow as carbon slowly drifts to the bottom of the sea floor. That's carbon resting. Carbon has now found a deep time home. And that's thinking. So all of these works, that's carbon decomposing in the soil, and soil being a sacred space for carbon. So these are sort of, I'm sure I'm moving pretty quick. This is usually an hour-long PowerPoint. But I just wanted to get to this bit here, which is really sort of what came from doing my creative research. So using art as methodology to think. And that led me to this space here of finding these sort of 6 different ways to subvert how we currently talk about carbon. And the first one is collapsing living and non-living binaries. So through the fact that we have abiotic categories within science, Western science epistemologies, it means that something's dead. It means we can then kill it. We can kill that mountain. It's not a living being. So we need to be thinking about subverting these narratives. Think about carboning, like the world as a verb. It's not a noun. It's not static. It's not still. It's moving. It's growing. It's evolving. Bringing in our mythopoetic concepts as metaphors to kind of really help us with our complex thinking. You know, I could talk a lot about carbon diversity. Most people only know about carbon dioxide because we've been shamed into this space of carbon guilt. But in fact, carbon is like many things. And also thinking, like these are things that shifting from control to care. So carbon capture is actually a dominating narrative. It's trying to like control something. Giving carbon a home and caring for carbon actually completely shifts how we think about that element. And that led me to an anti-colonial entanglement, which actually acknowledges carbon as an active participant in social ecological justice. So it is not just a resource or a pollutant. It is me. We are carbon thinking about carbon. We are kin. So that is what I thought might be good to share and inspire.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm just bringing Dawn and Liesje back into the conversation. Yeah, thank you, Aviva. Your work is both beautiful and thoughtful. And thank you also for remembering or reminding us all about the 2016 Rights of Nature Tribunal. For anyone who's been around with AELA for a while, back in 2016 and 2018, we did hold those Rights of Nature Tribunals at, I think it's Banco Court. I wanted to call it Banyo Court, but it's Banco Court. And yeah, at the fundamental root of what we're all talking about through our absolute love of the living world is also reflecting on the harm that's been caused by a certain mindset, an idea that we're separate from nature, above nature. You know, within Earth jurisprudence and the work of AELA, we draw on 2 big branches of the same beautiful tree. One is what I would call the Thomas Berry Western critique of Western and colonial thinking. Thomas Berry's book, The Great Work, Our Way into the Future, very inspiring for AELA's multidisciplinary work. But the other big branch of the tree, of course, in this country is the remarkable ongoing governance and cultural systems of the Aboriginal peoples. So many wonderful ideas that we can bring into our future. But first, we often have to lay bare the problems that we face today. And I think with kinship, one of the reasons we chose the theme is it's a little bit of everything. It absolutely, as Liesje says, helps us connect to place. And thank you so much for sharing your lagoon with us, Liesje. That's beautiful. I can't wait to visit it one day. And Dawn's own place-based work and her reflections on the importance of really the imaginative work involved with observing, caring for, and being part of nature. So what a wonderful overview from these amazing women. I'm just going to keep an eye on the chat in case anyone has questions. But before that happens, what I might do is just quickly share if I can get my pages to work properly again. Just wanted to reflect on one thing, and Aviva made me think of it. When we talk about work within AELA, we often remind people that even biocentrism is a deeply flawed word. One of the reasons we love ecocentrism is it's all about nature-centered, and that can be quite holistic. And it's interesting to think that even within science, this idea of biology or biocentrism, it's narrower in scope than ecocentrism. I've actually highlighted it there. It places intrinsic value on all living things, which sounds great. But humanity in this Western and industrialized way of thinking, exactly as Aviva said, we often write things off as not alive, whether it's carbon or a rock or soil, which is quite ridiculous. And so contemplating our interconnectedness with the living world and the rest of the whole world, I think is really challenging for some of us, because we've almost been raised, and certainly my profession, my original profession of Western education in law, very harsh distinctions between what's property and what's human, and that everything that's not human can be divided up pretty simply into human property or something wild and woolly and out there in the commons. So even the words we use to talk about our interconnection with nature can be tricky. And another reasons why I love kinship. It's just one of those words that fits within a lot of different bounds. But some interesting things to think about, I think. And I'm just reflecting back on the lovely talks we've just had. And then the only other thing I might do while we're waiting for any questions is just remind people that on this website, Earth Arts, Kinship, we've got these 5 ways that you can connect with us through the Earth Arts program. And I noticed in the chat a number of folks talking about other arts programs they're part of or other collectives, which is really exciting. You're very welcome to connect with us as an individual artist, but if you're also already part of a really active community group or community collective and you'd like to sort of connect up with AELA, please let us know. I hadn't actually thought before that we would have the opportunity to promote entire groups, but that might be something we can all get together and talk about as well. So the virtual gallery, Earthwords and Artling Anthology, you can submit any of your work now, it's open. Webinars, we really are genuinely interested in anyone who'd like to step up and say, hey, I'm going to participate in the kin process program, and I'd also love to bang the drum for my art or the artwork in my community. We just want those creative conversations to share as much as we can. And the fun thing about our ideas about an in-person activity in November, I'll just scroll down. We're suggesting that you can do anything. You can sit around and have a dinner party. You can have a cocktail party. We're inviting people to do anything at all in that week or somewhere near it. Tell us all about it and we'll host a little promo of it or some photos from your activities. Again, just a way of catalyzing, almost an excuse to think about nature and the world beyond human beings. So that's what I wanted to share. I'm just going to check our chat. Okay, we have a question. Hooray. So Joe Faye Duncan, interested to know how to search and find online communities. Aha. I don't think I have an answer to that right now, but I suspect our artists might have some ideas. And I know that Facebook, for better or for worse, and Instagram are places where you can search for arts communities and eco arts. But would any of our guest speakers have any thoughts on that?
Joe, are you saying hashtags to sort of extend your thought? You're saying not groups, hashtags, like other people thinking in this space on Instagram? Is that the question? Like Earth Laws is pretty, it's becoming a beautiful, well, yeah, Earth Laws, other hashtags in Earth Laws. Well, I'd go to the AELA website. It's so full of resources. But hashtags, other people other creatives working in this space.
Earth Arts, maybe? I don't know. It seems an obvious one, but
I think eco arts as well. There's a number. There are a lot of climate art groups as well. So yeah, maybe it's something that we as AELA Earth Arts can even think about, some of the other groups that are out there that we might want to connect with, but then list some that you might want to connect with.
On our Facebook page, the Earth Arts Facebook, we've been putting some info to do with stuff like that. I posted one the other night, a group called Speak Kin, I think, which is to do with art, and marine creatures, and there's an exhibition at the, what's it called, the Maritime Museum in Sydney. So maybe have a look on the web page, on the Facebook page too. And if you also have anything of interest, you could post it on there for everyone else.
Yes, please. And do send, in a minute, we'll pop Dawn and Liesje's AELA email addresses in if you want to directly send info to them that they might like to share. And thank you, Liz. Liz has asked a very important question. Can you only get involved in one thing? No, absolutely not. Go for gold. You're welcome to get involved in any of it or all of it or none of it. Yeah, none of it's mutually exclusive. So when you jump in fact, we've designed our little online EOI form for you to put your name and details in and then click on everything that you might like to be involved in. And you don't have to have everything finished right now. If you want to put your photos or images of your artwork up on the virtual gallery, we've just received a couple of submissions. So hopefully in the next week or two, we'll actually create the virtual gallery just with the first few folks who are sharing. And then we'll keep adding people throughout the year. The 1st of October is sort of the cutoff for if you want to send in your submissions for the Earth Arts. Sorry, saying the same two words too many times. Our Earthwords and Artlings Creative Anthology. Also, if you want to register your activities and tell us about what you may or may not get up to in November. So the 1st of October is a bit of a deadline, but we're pretty flexible. We're just trying to stimulate loveliness. I should put that on a bumper sticker. I'm just trying to stimulate loveliness. All right, what else have we got here? Some lovely people. Lynette said something very lovely. I'm appreciating, I think this was about your talk, Aviva. I'm appreciating the combination of art and photos with language from both Western science and nature from all of you speakers. So thank you.
Oh, great. I'm just like, in response to Joe's standardizing a hashtag, that's like a really interesting concept for us as a group to grow and respond to each other. But I just looked at hashtag Earth Arts and it just took me to lots of like, natural materials arts. So maybe it's more in something to do with the earth laws or something that could be, or it's like AELA, unfortunately, is like a goddess. So when you hashtag it, it doesn't take you to Australian Earth Alliance.
That's right. It's kind of handy that we're a goddess, but we didn't mean that when we created the name. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll invite Aviva, Liesje, and Dawn to think of other words we can use as generic hashtags, and then they can put that on our little website to offer that as something to share. That's a great idea. Yeah. And we don't have to have just one. We can have many.
Yeah, it could be Kinship 2026. Kinship,
yeah, definitely. Yep.
That might be specific enough.
Yeah. Maybe we can be really daggy and put AELA Earth Arts. Surely no one else has that as a hashtag. That'll get the whole lot. So. All right. Well, look, there's some other lovely comments there. We've only got about 5 minutes left. But I wonder if Liesje and Dawn, did you want to mention our Earth Arts Collective and how we've got some monthly gatherings, haven't we, from...
I think we're skipping June, but we are in July. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. I'd just say we've had 2, I think, online gatherings where people that have been part of the Earth Arts Collective in the past, like Aviva and others, and then new people that we've been reaching out to. And it's quite a lot of interest. Like, I think both times has been, I can't remember the numbers. Michelle or Sarah might, but anyway, there's been
around 20 and 30 maybe.
Yeah, so I mean, I think some of it is to share what's happening, but I also see it as a space maybe where people can feel that they're in community and with kin and, all of those opportunities just to get together and maybe hear from other people and just feel like there's a lot of goodness happening in many different ways. So that's just my take on the monthly gatherings in a way. But
thank you. And thank you, Sarah B. Sarah Bashforth has popped in. The next chat is on the 9th of July at 11 a.m. AEST. If you're already on our mailing list, you should receive a little note about that. Otherwise, please do email Dawn or Liesje. You can see their email addresses there. It's their name at earthlaws.org.au. And yeah, get in touch. And Vanessa, what a great question. Do you know if there's any kind of art cartography in AELA's gallery? Not yet. So exciting. I think Aviva and I have talked about this, how much we love maps. I'm obsessed with maps and cartography generally from all cultural ways and backgrounds. I've even got my little fingers going excitedly. So yeah, if you want to submit, share, inspire others to get involved, yes, please. And challenging the way we see the world. Just recently in one of our bioregional seminars, a wonderful speaker, Nisha Palouse from India, did an amazing presentation on rethinking the world of maps and how it portrays power and culture and so many other things. So if that's of interest, do look it up in the past events, because that's a really different way of looking at mapping. But yes, thank you, Vanessa.
I just wanted to say too, I guess if people want to, you know, connect with other people in their regions, like as Liesje and I live in the same area, so we do a lot together anyway, but you know, maybe use this forum and the future Zoom forums or Facebook to reach out with other creatives in your areas around Australia or around the world. That'd be great.
Yes, thank you. Good reminder. And as we start to reactivate our Earth Arts, I have been mentioning to Dawn and Liesje, I'd love to get in touch with regional galleries around Australia. This year a little bit, but most galleries need a little lead time to really think about exhibitions, but perhaps we could even start working together as a collective to think about something beautiful in a year or two, so that we have time to find funding and other support if we need it, and build. Certainly what I would love to do in 2 years' time is a big focus on branching into the kinship and bioregional care, bioregional governance as the focus. So do keep that in mind. This isn't just, it's not just for Christmas, it's forever. You know, we can build many other good things together. Okay. Any other comments, Dawn or Liesje? We've had a wonderful group. I can see them writing down lots of notes, so that's exciting. But maybe we can start to do a wrap up. Liesje and Dawn, if you've got any other things you want to share.
I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. And it was great, Aviva, to see your work. Wow, amazing. And yeah, if people can join up and in any way get involved and influence other people, let other people know what's going on. It's all in a good cause, isn't it? So thanks.
Thank you, Dawn. And Liesje?
Well, oh, sorry, I thought it was mute. No, Dawny wrapped that up well. Thanks everyone for joining us. It's great to see so many people online, and yeah, to see your work, Aviva. It's stunning, and to hear you speak about it, like, it's so powerful. So yeah, reach out if you want to know more.
Yes, please.
And to Michelle and Sarah for organising today. Thanks.
Of course, always. And thank you so much. And Aviva, any final words of inspiring people to go and get Earth Arty?
Oh, just that this is, it's an exciting opportunity to, that week in November to really just focus on, and together we can build this sort of really vibrant focus. It's nice to have a focus as a creative. So it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's excellent. Thank you. That brings you back to the hashtag. I remember years ago, we had such a great presence and so many people were actually hashtagging one of our events. We were trending, apparently, the one and only time we ever did. So let's see if we can do mini trending in November to remind everyone about the beautiful world within which we live. But on that cheerful note, thank you all so much for joining us. Please do sign up to the Earth Arts email list via our Earth Arts website. We also have the main Earth Laws website and the main Earth Laws mailing list. Most of the time, the big mailing list will share updates with you, but do jump on the Earth Arts one for slightly more intimate yarns about some of the art stuff and the beautiful newsletter that Liesje and Dawn will be creating. And in the spirit of excellent time management, I'll now wrap it up. We're 1 minute from the end of the hour. Thank you so much. Thank you to Sarah Bashforth for helping us with our tech and always supporting us. And we're really looking forward to seeing your submissions and your questions and your ideas. So please come and get in touch anytime. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.